What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the channel. I do hope you're doing well. Thank you for stopping by. As ever, I really do appreciate it. Oh, God. Windy pops in there. Sorry. If you haven't done so already, if you could hit the subscribe button. If you're enjoying the content that I put out, if you could hit the like button for me as well, that really helps. And any comments that you've got, please feel free, leave them in the comment section down below. So, I think I'm just going to have a sip of coffee before we get into this. Kalvin Phillips. Let's have a long discussion. I say long discussion. Let's have a chat about this because obviously people's opinions and people's, view of Phillips at the moment, there's like two sides to the story on this, really, isn't there? In terms of how people feel about it and Phillips himself. It's horrible to see what he's going through at the moment, just on a human level. It's difficult to see him now as a player and what he was, from what he was, I should say, in terms of, we all remember what Phillips was in the Bielsa era. We all remember what Phillips was in that, England's player of the tournament. And to see that effectively coached out of him over the last few years at Man City it's a very, very depressing thing. Now, there's a train of thought online going on at the moment, which is shite before Bielsa, shite after Bielsa. He gets what he deserves. I completely disagree with that. What Bielsa did was he found a system that works, or that worked well for Kalvin Phillips. It also worked well for Phillips in the England squad as well, with him and Declan Rice. Manchester City don't pay 45, 50 million quid for a player that they think is potentially crap. We know why Manchester City bought him. It's because they didn't want him going to any of their rivals. He would have fitted in supremely well, I think. This is just my opinion. He would have fitted in absolutely phenomenally well at Liverpool. I think he would have been a brilliant signing for Liverpool. Just in terms of the way that Liverpool play, the style of play that Phillips was about. It's that quarterback role that was just working so well for him. And unfortunately, him going to Man City coincided at a time when Rodri just turned out to be an absolute world beater of a player. And he was never, ever going to get into the team ahead of Rodri. It just wasn't going to happen. And unfortunately, for Phillips, it means spending a lot of time on the bench. Now, I get a lot of people going, he went for the bag, he went for this, he went, money and everything and stuff like that. The guy's set up for life. That's fine. Fair play to him. You can't knock him for that. And the question out there now is, what you see a lot of, since he's been at West Ham. He's made some mistakes, yes, you can't get away from that fact. But the guy hasn't really played football properly for nearly a season and a half to nearly 2 seasons. And it's difficult for him to get up to speed. And particularly with the way that Moyes plays football, he doesn't just quite fit in yet in terms of their style of play. He's been unlucky. There's no two ways about it. We need to talk about the Newcastle game. I don't care what planet you're on or how you view the situation. That was never a penalty. Phillips yes, he took his time to do it, but Phillips is clearing the ball. At no point does he look at Gordon. Gordon steps in front of him, so he ends up kicking Gordon's leg. Anywhere else on the pitch, for me, that's a foul on Phillips. I'm still trying to work out how they called that a penalty. Phillips didn't even see him coming. And the thing is it's VAR is an absolute joke. It is. And at the time, the on-field referee didn't think it was a penalty. And I'm trying to work out how the VAR officials come to the decision that it's a penalty. Because Gordon comes from behind, His leg comes over and he plants his leg in front of Phillips whilst he's kicking the ball, and he ends up kicking the ball away. Sorry, he ends up kicking Gordon's leg. And I can't grasp how that's a penalty. And I'm not trying to defend Phillips whatsoever at all. No chance. But I just don't think it was a penalty. I think it was a ridiculous decision. That's just me. But Phillips needs to leave Man City, and he needs to go to another team that appreciate what he can bring to the table in that quarterback sort of style of role. And there's a lot of call for him to come back to Leeds. And apologies if you can hear that. That's just Bing being an idiot on my computer. There's a lot of calls for him to come back to Leeds. And I've thought long and hard about this. And as much as I rate Kalvin Phillips and I like him and I think he's lovely and I think, he's a good human being and he's good to have around and he was, good people, all of that kind of stuff. In this new era of Leeds United, if you like, post Premiership and trying to get back into the Premiership, I don't think we should take him back. Do I think it would happen? No, I don't think it would happen because City would want too much for him and Phillips would also want the same amount of money that he's on now. So he'd be wanting 150 odd grand a week that he's been getting paid for the past few years. And that just isn't going to happen with us with FFP and financial structures and everything. But not only that, he doesn't fit into the system that Farke likes to play in terms of the two midfielders, the three attackers, and then the one striker. Phillips doesn't really fit into that style of role. And I do think there's a sense of sentimentalness with it. And I get it. I do. I completely understand it. And I wholeheartedly understand it. But the same with some other players. You kind of have to move on from that situation and that scenario. I think the mistake that Kalvin made was going to Man City. I know he had his heart set on it, and I think he was probably promised the world, and it wasn't kind of delivered. I think being told that you're too fat when you're about a couple of pounds overweight when you come back from international duty is just ridiculous. But this is what City do. City buy players to stop their rivals from being able to buy those players, to make sure that they're strengthened in that position. And I maintain it. Had he gone to somewhere like a Liverpool, he would have been absolutely brilliant for Liverpool in terms of the style that they play and the way that they play. It's unfortunate the situation that he finds himself in now, and you see people bitching about his reaction to the criticism, and it leads me back to my last video that I made where people were name calling on certain players within the team. Yes, Cooper didn't have a particularly brilliant game. Yes, it's fine to criticise him. Yes, it's fine to say, he didn't have a good game X, Y, because of X, Y, and Z. What isn't the right thing to do is to start name calling. What isn't the right thing to do, like when it comes to Bamford, is to turn up at the guy's house. I don't know why fans think they should be immune from receiving a little bit back if you are giving a player absolute dog's abuse. And it moves from being criticism of a person's ability as a footballer, but criticising it properly, and results to insults, name calling, and just generally being absolutely, horribly nasty. And the moment a player kicks back a little bit, or the moment a player just goes, well, hang on, I don't see why I should take that. I don't see why I should have to put up with that, and gives a little bit back. It's, oh my God, the world has ended. And it's just this, people think, that footballers aren't human beings for some reason, that footballers sometimes will snap. It's tough. I mean, fancy waiting around a bus to say a load of crap to somebody, and then when they turn around and go, it's Do you know what I mean? It's the thing, for God's sakes, why are you being a snowflake about it? Why are you suddenly crying foul because somebody does that? If you can't take it, don't dish it out. It's not that hard. It really isn't that hard. By all means, criticise somebody for their performance, their skill, whatever. That's fine. But as soon as you resort to name calling and insults, I'm sorry, you deserve what you get. And if that's somebody turning around and sticking a finger up to you, and that's the worst that you get, and that makes you upset, my God. The people that cry, this is one that makes me giggle, the people that cry freedom of speech and being anti-woke and all of that kind of stuff, as soon as they take it back, there's tears, absolute tears. If you can't take it, don't give it. Back to Phillips coming back to Leeds. I don't think it'll happen, nor do I think he should come back to Leeds, because I don't see how he fits in. And if we get into the Premiership, we can't have or can't afford the luxury of having a player in the squad just to rebuild themselves on quite high wages. I don't think that works well. And I also don't think it sends the right message out to the team as well in terms of the team ethos. I just don't think it works right at all. Don't get me wrong. If we were talking of the Kalvin Phillips, Bielsa era and going to Man City, that player that went to Man City, yeah, there's a conversation to have him back. But he isn't that player at the moment, and we don't have that luxury. We're not even in the Premiership yet, but we don't have that luxury of being able to do that when we get back into the Premiership. We just don't. I think for Phillips, the best thing for him to do would be to go abroad. I think Germany or Italy would be brilliant for him, absolutely brilliant for him, and I think that's what he should do. I think in terms of for his family, you know, his young child, everything like that, that's, for me, that's what he should do, and that's what I'd like to see him do. And I'd like to see him rebuild over in like Italy or Germany, which I think would be the best thing all round for him. In all honesty, that's just my personal opinion. But like I said, the whole thing with Kalvin Phillips speaks to the way that Man City treat their players and what Man City do to players. And, you know, buying a player just to make sure your rival doesn't get him and then not playing him whatsoever at all. He's had his confidence in everything coached out of him from what I can see from Pep Guardiola. So that's my 2 cents on it anyways. I just wanted to give my little bit of an opinion, a bit of a waffle. I know, I apologise, but let me know what you think in the comment section down below. If you haven't done so already, if you could subscribe to the channel. We are inching ever closer to 500 subscribers. I've had a real uptick in subscribers over the past sort of week and a half, so really do appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. But yeah, that's going to do it for this one, and hopefully my next video is me being happy about beating Hull. So that is the game that is on tonight at Ellen Road. We just need them 3 points. Just got to get them 3 points. That's all that matters. Take care. See you on the next one.